HuskerOnline, Sean Callahan. Sean, good morning. Fall camp begins today, and yesterday we were informed that Tristan Alvano, Nebraska's expected starting kicker, is fighting through an injury. What was your response to that in terms of his effectiveness for possibly for the start of the season, Sean?
Sorry, I didn't get the first part of your question.
Tristan Alvano was announced to be injured by Matt Rule yesterday. Are you concerned about his status for the beginning of the season based on what you heard yesterday?
It is concerning because we've kind of, dealt with something like this over the years, all the way back to Barrett Pickering when he had an injury, kind of one of those soft tissue deals that kept him out in 2019. And that was a pretty good team on paper for Nebraska. And we learned how quickly, not having a kicker, how much that could affect your season. I guess, if he was closer, he might have been on that 125 or that 120 man fall camp roster already and could be out there. But the fact that he was left off of it, got my attention because to put a guy back on the 120, you can't put him on there until somebody else is hurt. And a spot opens back up. So it's not like they can just put him on. You'd have to remove another player. And I believe it would have to be an injury-related situation. So, yeah, when he gets back to practice, that will be something to watch. But with that said, I think John Hull is a good addition they brought in.
Okay.
And, they've got Nico, this other freshman from New Jersey, who was a really highly recruited guy. So they've got two other kids that are D1 level kickers on the roster, with Alvano being the one that started last season.
That'd be Nico Ottomanelli, Sean, of Harrington Park, New Jersey.
You just wanted to show off and say that.
That's right.
He's proud of himself.
Sean, it's right on my screen is what it is. Nico Ottomanelli. John Hull, you're talking about. Sean, we know nothing. They haven't kicked in college, right?
Well, John Hull kicked at Iowa Western, for a year. And then Coastal Carolina watched him live this summer, and they offered him a full ride. So he was getting, looks. Like Scott Strohmeyer, the Iowa Western head coach, told me that Hull was going to be their guy. And he goes, the minute Nebraska saw him kick live, he goes, I knew that they were going to want him. They were really high on him. In high school, you just don't get the development. As a kicker, I think he's really grown just in the last year or two since he's left high school. So I think he's a sleeper to watch in this whole thing, just based on what Strohmeyer, a guy I've known a long time, has said the kind of player he was going to be for them at Iowa Western.
I want to go back to Friday real quick, Sean. David Sanders Jr. came to Nebraska on an unofficial visit. Quite a crowd was there for his welcoming to Nebraska. I'm curious, what do you think Nebraska stands on him now compared to before when he announces on August 17th where he's going to go to school?
I think they're definitely in the conversation. Remember, back in May, they didn't even make his top 6, and now they're in his top 4. And a lot of people think it's Nebraska and Tennessee right now, but Tennessee has been labeled, in my opinion, the team to beat. They're less than 4 hours from Charlotte, where he's from. He's been to the campus 8 times. If it's NIL, they'll match any number. But David Sanders, I don't think it's necessarily just about the money. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of money wherever he goes.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the fit and the place that he wants to be, his family wants to be. And Nebraska's really made a strong pitch, and enough to get him back here for a short visit. But Dylan Raiola is leading the charge. I would say without Dylan Raiola, Nebraska's not in this race, but he has personally recruited this guy and was the first person that he saw when he landed and spent every second with him when he was on campus.
Also, Michael Terry and Isaiah Mosy. Where does Nebraska stand? Okay, these guys are offensive players. Mosy's a receiver committed to Oregon. I call him a kind of a hybrid player because he can play running back. Now, that's just my opinion. And then Michael Terry is probably a receiver, a big 6, Sean, what is he? Is he 6'3"?
Yeah, he's like a Debo Samuel type player.
Okay.
He can play a lot of positions. And, that's what Nebraska has said. Michael Terry, the number 1 ranked athlete in the country, also a 5-star. Nebraska's pitch to him is like, we're going to almost treat you like a Carter Nelson and create your own position, get you on the field. And that will actually be a good sales pitch. And when they show the season of Carter Nelson is kind of what we think he's going to be, like, yeah, if you're a good football player, we're going to find a way to use you, get you on the field. And he's down to Oregon Texas and Nebraska, but he's from San Antonio, which is very close to Austin. So Texas is kind of the perceived leader there, but Nebraska's been on him hard. He's been up here multiple times. I feel like they've got the best sales pitch to him as far as how they want to use him. That's what he told me actually in May when we visited. So getting him back here again was big. I still think, you're talking about Oregon and Texas, two other major NIL players. So that will also be, a guy, a five-star player. If you get him, there's a significant NIL opportunity probably tied to that. Mosy, I really like Nebraska's chances. Obviously, with his dad Jamar joining the staff, coaching offense this year, helping with the receivers. I would expect. I wouldn't be surprised if he flips here sometime in August from Oregon and Nebraska. We'll just kind of see how that plays out.
Sean, always good stuff. Thanks for the time. We will chat with you again next Wednesday.
Sean, thanks for your patience.
Thanks, guys.